Okay, without much ado, let me quickly get to the topic, not to waste time. Before we do that, I'd like to give you a little bit of background about how I came into do this talk on KiCad. Violum is essentially a group of hardware hackers, DIY enthusiasts, people who are keen on electronics as a hobby. And we're doing a kind of a special experiment here. We are spread out around the world. We aren't at one location. And despite that limitation, we have been able to come out with a lot of successful DIY projects, all of which are open source hardware and open source software. My colleagues are spread out. We have a couple in Washington. There's a guy in Germany, one in Sydney. I'm here in Mumbai. And we still managed to do all of our hardware. Some of us haven't even met each other. We have embraced Arduino as our hardware platform mainly because we want others to hack into the projects we make. We could have easily done projects using assembly or other higher level programming. But Arduino makes it possible for a lot of other people to just take our projects, hack in, change, modify, improve, and so on. All of our projects are hardware, open hardware and open software. We partner with Seed several times when we want to make larger quantities of our products. KiCad is our EDA of choice. We evaluated a couple of other software but found KiCad to be the best for a particular requirement. We love the Raspberry Pi. One of the latest products we've done is make an Arduino for the Raspberry Pi. Allows us to have all Arduino functions plugged on to the power of the Raspberry Pi. This year we're talking at Open Hardware Summit in New York on this special group called Violum, because it's kind of unique in the sense that we are all spread across the world but still able to do such great hardware designs. It's easy to do software if you're spread across the world. Managing hardware, especially without things breaking down and getting it right the first time, is not that easy or common. A couple of our projects we've launched via Kickstarter. For those of you who don't know, Kickstarter, it's a sort of a finance or a funding website where you can pitch your project and people can let's say pay you money to buy that project. The advantage with Kickstarter is while we are designing a project, we can get feedback from end users on what they expect in terms of features and performance and so on, and incorporate that in the design as we go along before we make the final project. So ADA is quite essential for electronics as it is, as CAD/CAM is for mechanical engineers. It allows us to make circuit boards, but the more complicated suites can also allow you to design, let's say, integrated circuits, all of your digital and analog ICs and stuff like that. Generally, unlike in CAD/CAM, electronic ADA requires a sort of a strict process flow. You need to do things in certain stages before you end up with the final result. Today we'll be looking at KiCad in particular. If possible and if we have the time, we can also maybe design a little circuit to see how it works. These are some of the open source EDA suites. GADA is also pretty familiar and popular with the open hardware community, the people who do DIY and hobbyists and so on, as also KiCad and Fritzing. Fritzing is more for artists and people who really have not much knowledge of electronics, and you start off with breadboarding a circuit rather than doing anything else, and go from breadboard directly to a circuit. So the process flow is pretty much different from what a normal electronic engineer would use for designing a board. GADA is pretty good, but it's not a an integrated EDI, I would say. It's actually different modules which are just clubbed together and made to work under the GPL license. KiCad we found was really the best solution. CircuitLab is an online the only thing KiCad cannot do right now is simulation. So in case you need to do some simulation, you would have to probably use other tools like SPICE, for example, this LT SPICE from Linear, or there are a lot of other open SPICE projects. And CircuitLab is an online version. You just get onto the web and start doing your simulation over there. CADSoft Eagle is extremely popular with the hardware DIY community, but with a lot of limitations in terms of the size of the boards you can produce. The format is proprietary, and you need to pay to get the full version. DesignSpark is from RS Components. I have not tried it much, but some people do use it. And beyond that is the big dollar packages, OrCAD and pads and a lot of others, DipTrace. These are commercial packages. They cost quite a bit and have a lot of features. I haven't found anything lacking in KiCad. I've used OrCAD earlier, and basically KiCad lets me do everything that OrCAD would have done earlier. So usually you start off with this. This is a live project we did called a car battery protector. This was a sketch sent to me by my colleague in Sydney, David, and he wanted something to protect his car battery from dying out when the car was parked for long periods of time and was left unattended. And the car had a lot of other things running in the background while it was parked, like the alarm system and so on. So he did a basic sketch and sent me saying, hey, this is what the idea is. And based on that, this is what I produced from KiCad. It has the main microcontroller here. There's this, the output over here, the input, the power supply. And because a lot of the Arduino pins were unused, we added in an optional display which can maybe show battery voltage, for example. The next step in circuit design is associating your schematic components, for example, the microcontroller or the resistor or the diode, and telling the system what is its physical shape going to be. That's an important link between schematic to final PCB. And usually you would select a component. For example, here's the chip U1, which is an Atmega 328P chip, and you tell the system that it's a DIP 28 pin socket, and maybe you can even have a 3D visualization before you decide what it's going to look like. Next step is you import this netlist into the board design layout, the board module, place all your components, draw all the tracks. This is where some of your creativity helps, because this is more like solving a puzzle, getting all the tracks through. Quite often auto routers cannot do the job as well as manual routing can. There are a lot of considerations you need to do, like routing tracks through specific sections or areas of the board and so on. So auto router is not always a good solution, and for smaller boards, manual layout is usually the best and the easiest and quickest way to get it routed. So you really need to think sort of creatively in terms of how you want the layout to be, where the components would be, where the connectors would be, and maybe even have a bit of a mechanical view of the whole layout, so that when you get the circuit made, things don't foul up. And KiCad allows a 3D view of your circuit when you're designing the layout. GEDA I don't think does it. I'm not sure which other packages allow it. And this is extremely powerful. It lets you make sure that you don't have mechanical interferences in your design. The next, or rather the final stage, would be preparing the Gerber plots. This is what you send off to the fabrication lab and tell them, here's my design, please make a couple of boards for me. This shows two layers, the top and the bottom, but you would usually generate a lot of other layers. There will be the silk front, the silk back. If you are doing automated SMD, you would have adhesive layers, there a mask layer, and so on. Finally, you would end up with a product that looks like, hopefully, what your 3D look like. So a couple of details on KiCad. It's a full-featured EDA suite, GPL license, cross-platform, works on Linux, Windows, experimental right now on Mac OS. I even got it to work on my Raspberry Pi. So that was pretty interesting. How many of you here are interested in Raspberry Pi or have played around with it or done anything on it? Couple. Have you got your Raspberry Pi yet? No. Okay, there's a big queue. I'm happy because I got my Pi. I've been playing around with it. I've got KiCad running on it. KiCad was released in '92, but I think it really took off sometime around 2007, and hence it's pretty solid and stable and mature as of now. The important thing with EDA packages is the ability to export to various formats, depending on what your manufacturer would like to receive. Usually it's Gerber plots. Those are the final output of your whole design process. But in some cases, they may also like HPGL or PostScript or DXF files. So KiCad can do all of these. There's an extremely large and dedicated support community for KiCad. So that's a very positive factor. When you're stuck and you need help, there's always someone to turn to. In addition to that, there's lots and lots of documentation, online tutorials, self-help guides and stuff like that available for KiCad. The latest version of KiCad now includes scripting support. So if you're good at things like Python and C and so on, you can add your own automated scripts and make your life easier for working on KiCad. And finally, just a little bit, 600,000 lines of code, 150 man years of development. That's a pretty extensive investment in terms of the software, which is what makes it as good as it is. In terms of monetary value, it will be about 9 million, but actually that's just notional. All of this is voluntary work done by enthusiasts. The best part is KiCad, every file is plain text. You can open any KiCad file in a text editor and play around with it. And that has very powerful implications, as I'll tell you later. So this includes everything, your schematics, your symbols, your footprint libraries, your board files, all of them are in just plain text. For example, this is a typical library file for one component called a PNP transistor. And this is all that is to it. You can open it in a text file and edit it, but KiCad would recognize this as a component such as this, a PNP transistor. There are a couple of fields that define. A Q is to indicate it's a transistor. Another field to tell it what's the part number. In this case, it's a generic PNP, but you would replace it with an APNP transistor, for example. You draw a circle, you draw a couple of pins, you draw a couple of connections, and you're done. The other thing is, for example, I don't know if any of you have tried Eagle, but in Eagle, you have to decide specifically which part is going to go on your board. And hence you need, for example, you can't just choose a PNP transistor. You need to know from the very beginning that you want a 2N3904 or a TIP 122 or whatever. You can't proceed unless you get that, and you need to have that in your library of components that you import. With KiCad, it's pretty simple. You can just say PNP transistor, and when you're doing the netlist, at that point in time, you can decide whether it should be maybe a TO92 pack or a SMD pack or a power transistor. You can even have different versions of the same schematic in terms of the board layout. So you can have one schematic and then create a through-hole mounted version of the board, or you can go back and make an SMD version. So these are the various integrated modules within KiCad when you start them off. The project manager, just let me just switch to each one of them. This one is the project manager. It basically at the top allows you access to the icons that start off the various modules. And on the left you can view all the files within the folder that you have opened as a project .pro. Beyond that, the manager doesn't really do much. The schematic editor is called eSchema, and it has a couple of icons on the left to choose your system, metric or imperial. On the left are all the drawing tools. You can place components, you can place, start drawing wires or buses, you can have bus to wire connects, bus to bus connects. This one is no connect. You can name nets. A wire in an EDA package or a schematic is called a net. That's because it connects one component to other component or many different components. And you can name a net and make it easier. For example, your this one is called 5 volt. So we know that this net, wherever it goes, is the 5 volt signal. And it's easier to remember that than a net name, which is just a number. The library editor is available straight away in schematic. You can start creating your own symbols in KiCad without really knowing too much about how it works. It's really a very simple process creating library modules. There are a couple of other tools available. Annotation, which allows you to number each component after you place them on the schematics. You get R1, R2, C1, C2 and so on. There's an electrical rules checker where you can set up parameters and then make sure that your circuit doesn't have conflicts like an input conflicting with an output, for example, or a positive going to ground and stuff like that. You can generate a netlist. You can generate a bill of materials, which is a list of parts used in the circuit, and then use that to maybe create a list of parts that you need to buy, for example. This is a complex hierarchy in the sense I have a main sheet here and I have 3 additional sheets at the bottom, which are additional circuits within which connect to the main circuit, and the connections are made via flags over here. So KiCad supports hierarchical sheets as well. It's not just flat schematics. The netlist converter is CVPCB. Some of the names are a bit odd in terms of the names given, eSchema and CVPCB. That's because the original author is French and his English is really not very perfect. So there are a lot of English translation issues as far as KiCad is concerned. That's what sometimes puts off people who are new to it in terms of the names given to the various components. So in this, in the netlist converter, what you do is you get a list of components like capacitors with their values, but you don't know what their physical sizes are, what their footprints are. You can then select them from a list of available footprints and correlate the two and create a final netlist. This would be the input to your board design layout, which is where you import a netlist. From the schematic, you export a netlist, and into the PCB you import the same netlist. You place the parts around and then start drawing. Again, like I said, this is where your creativity matters more than your engineering background really. It's important to know a fair bit of some amount of mechanics when you're doing this kind of work. It's not just laying out electronic components. You need to look at things like thermal issues, EMI, EMC, for example, mechanical mounting, stuff like that. KiCad, the PCB editor can do up to 16 layers, and I've handled up to 2 layers. Really have not needed to go more than that, but it can do up to 16 layers. And you can have a lot of control on what you view on the screen to make it easier for you while you're drawing a circuit. You can turn on or off certain layers as shown here. All sorts of tools are available for drawing tracks or drawing zones. if you want to add some graphic elements, dimensions, stuff like that. This also has an electrical rules checker. So similar to the schematic, we will have an ERC within the track layout as well. Essentially, this will also check for tracks that are too close to each other, or tracks that are too close to pads, for example. It also helps to have a 3D view so that it becomes easier to make sure that nothing is creating mechanical issues within your design. This, for example, is the bottom is the Raspberry Pi board, and at the top is the Arduino board which we designed. That's the same as this board. And we needed to make sure that the fit between the GPIO header is perfect, otherwise it wouldn't have worked out. Finally, the Gerber viewer is basically a viewer. It doesn't edit, doesn't allow you to edit anything, but you can view the outputs before you send it off for fabrication. You can import various layers and lay them up and make sure that this is what your board will finally be like in terms of each layer. KiCad also has a bitmap to component that's pretty useful. For example, if I have a graphic like this and I need to place it on a board, I need to convert it to either a schematic component or a PCB footprint. So this allows me to take a graphic file like this and convert it to either EE schema or PCB new. And that's how I can place graphics like this or the Open Hardware logo on my board. KiCad files are plain text, as I said, and the names are pretty much self-descriptive. SCH is schematic, LIB is library files, PR or project files, and so on. So at this point, let me see if we can build a little circuit on the fly over here. When you start off KiCad, you end up with a no-name empty project. Let's start. Okay, let's start off a new one. So every project starts off with a project file.pro, and the first step would be to create a schematic. Any suggestions on what we can design? Maybe a simple voltage regulator, takes a DC input and provides a regulated output. When you start off, it reports that it can't find a schematic file, but that's because you haven't made any schematic file yet. And first off, you would start off with selecting what grid you want, but as far as schematic is concerned, it's not really critical. A grid is important when you're designing the board layout. We can start off with placing components. This icon allows you to place a component, and you can then either list all the available components or select them via browser. Usually the second option is much easier because you get to see what each component is. These are the individual libraries that have been loaded when I open the project. I can even create my own library. That's what I usually do. I would import an existing component from any of these and place it in my library and then use that in my project. This way I can package the whole project as one file and share it with anyone without having them being dependent on the same library file that I used. So, but as of now, let's say we're doing a regulator. So under regulator, we could use 7805. So that's what the component is, and we place it. Right click on a component, edit it. You'll find a lot of associated parameters that you can change. We need a couple of capacitors. Let's say under device, need a polarized one for filtering. I need a non-polarized one for noise. I can copy this, place it on the output. Maybe I need some load to make sure the circuit works. The best way is to add a LED which will also show us that the regulator output is working. So let's say add a resistor and maybe an LED. Yeah. And probably at the end I need a couple of connectors to make the input and the output. And the connectors, 2 pin. And do this and copy this at the output as well. So you got all the components here. We can start drawing tracks, which is place a wire. That's your input. That's the output. It's a ground. Let's filter. I can name a net. For example, this one could be named as ground. And then I can take a wire, terminate it here and give it a net name which has ground. So essentially this is going to be connected here. With more complex circuits this becomes very easy. You don't have to bring a wire to where it's supposed to go. You can just chop it off somewhere and give it a name and give the same name to another This also makes it easier because the circuit will always refer to this wire as a net called GND rather than giving it a number. So when you're drawing the board, it becomes easier for you to know that you're working on the ground track and not a number track which you wouldn't know if it's ground or not. For those who have used Eagle, you'll notice that it adds junctions automatically. Eagle doesn't do that, and you need to keep adding junctions manually all the time. I don't know if it's different, but that has been my experience. And that's pretty odd because sometimes you could miss adding a junction where you want one. We could add, let's say this one has a 12 volt net and this one has a 5 volt net. Having done this, more or less your schematic is ready. It's time to number all the paths. If you can see, the capacitors are all C question mark, the resistor is R question mark. These need to be numbered. That's done by a process called annotation, where you annotate the entire schematic. Quite often you annotate a schematic and then add some more parts, in which case you need to keep existing annotation so that you don't reset the parts that you've already numbered. At this point we should have everything numbered nicely. We still aren't done with this because we haven't told the system what the values are, but that's not critical as far as design is concerned, but you still need to know what the value of this would be. So we could make it as 47 micro, 25 volt, for example. This could be 100 nano. This could be the same. This could be, let's say, 220 ohms and an LED. Finally, this is, so more or less you're done with your whole schematic design. It's pretty fast, pretty intuitive. You don't really need to learn much. You place paths, you draw wires, you annotate it, and you're done. I struggled a lot with Eagle, even though I already have a lot of experience with OrCAD and other software, but I just really couldn't proceed beyond. I lasted just half an hour on Eagle. So at this point, let's say you need to create a hierarchical sheet. You would create a sheet like this and give it a name, whatever, output, and this becomes a separate sheet by itself. It doesn't show up anything over here, but once you click, it becomes, once you enter that sheet, you get a fresh page where you can draw another part of the circuit, and this can have in fact another embedded sheet as well. So that's called a hierarchical web sheet, or a hierarchical format, where if you can't fit everything on one sheet, you usually end up doing this. It's much easier also because you can break down big circuits into smaller blocks and have each one in a separate compartment like this. You can place certain graphic elements like lines, though these aren't really a part of the design process, for example. Or you can place text describing and place it somewhere. How much time do we have? Is anyone keeping a track? Okay, we can carry on. This one is the library editor. I'd like to quickly show you how it works. Let's say I take the regulator directory and load a component, for example like this. So this is a component from an existing library, 7805, and for some reason I don't like the placement of the pins, for whatever reasons. I can just move the pin, and I can then say create a new component or update this in the current library, or I can actually create a new library, save current component to a new library. I could create a library for my existing project called ER, and it's already given it a name called 7805.lrv. Yeah, okay. More or less done. So I'll skip doing the library part, could be running short in time. Let's quickly generate a netlist. And at that point we are done with drawing your schematic. The next stage is telling what size or what footprint for each of these parts is going to be. That's the next one. It's pretty sequential, the whole process. So it loads up your existing components with their values, but it doesn't know what their sizes are going to be. So for a capacitor, it could be, let's say, okay, something like this. This is what your electrolytic capacitor would be, probably. So we could use this for C1. The smaller ones could be this. Your LED is a 5 mm LED or maybe a 3 mm. Yeah. Input and output, there are all kinds of connectors. In this case, let's see, select screw terminals. It's going to look like this. For in and out both, your 220 ohm resistor would be, that's vertical. Okay, that's your horizontal, so that should be the right one. Finally, this could be a TR220 pack. Okay, this one. So at this point you can just save this netlist and you are done. Finally you can fire up the board layout module, PCB new. Import the netlist. It already knows which project you are working on and which netlist it needs to import. Hit the current netlist and you will notice that all the paths have been dumped in one corner of your board. They are all put on top of each other. If you want to separate them out, which is useful if you are working on a lot of paths, you can auto move all the modules so that they are kind of spread out, and you can now start picking up and moving components and start I'm not going to be artistically good over here, but just start placing them. This one goes here. Okay, more or less like this. At this point you could run the built-in auto router, or KiCad allows you access to a web-based auto router called FreeRoute. It's pretty good, it's fast, and it's usually the recommended method of doing auto routing. In this case this is really a pretty simple board. You can just start. Okay, here is a list of layers that you can work on. This by default is a 2-layer board, so it shows front and back, but if you set up more layers under layer setup, you could have maybe 3, 4, usually 4 or 8 or layers or whatever. So you have front and back layer, you have the silk front and the silk back. These are the 4 usually most important layers. The others are auto generated. Mask is derived from the front and back and so on. The layers that you work on would be the track layers and the silk screen or the legend layers. This one is for adding tracks. And so on. You just complete all your layout and more or less you're done. You can view a 3D. This is what it's going to look like, more or less. Could that's the top view without perspective. This makes it useful if you want to check for alignment with another board or something like that. The format for these 3D modules is the VRML format. That's WRL files. You can create these on your own as well, or there's a huge library of available paths from KiCad library sources. You can add a board outline which goes under PCB edges. Like this, and then you can fill in what's called as let's say a zone. Zones are useful if you want basically zones can do a lot of things. For example, EMC, EMI, or shielding, or improving a production process where you don't have a lot of copper to be etched off. Makes life easier for the so let's select the back layer as where I want the zone to be. So that's how this filled zone is going to look like. You could run electrical rules check, which will report several errors in this case, things which are not connected because we haven't laid out all the tracks. At the bottom of the screen you can find lots of data about each component or item that you are working on. For example, if I select the resistor, it tells me what the module is and so on. There are also XY coordinates which are either absolute. The ones in capital are absolute. You can also have relative coordinates, so it's easy to place components with relation or respect to each other. I could, let's say, make this reference by pressing the space bar and get 0xy relative at the bottom here. And in relation to that, I could move another component at maybe a specific location. For example, I could drag this component and place it like this, for example. So this is a very simple circuit. We've done some pretty complicated stuff. This one is done in KiCad. This one is basically an Arduino board which plugs on top of a Raspberry Pi. So it allows you to control sensors, servos and stuff like that using Arduino, and at the same time communicate with the Raspberry Pi and maybe do display or on-screen stuff like that.